He woke to a quiet alarm, a soft chime that told him his shuttle was close to the signal. Evan Cole sat up in the narrow pilot chair and rubbed the sleep from his eyes. The window above him showed a red sun, like an ember. A cracked world floated below, ringed by dust and thin clouds that looked like faded silk. Epsilon Ridge, the map said. The name felt lonely. The screen showed one clear ping, rising and falling like a heartbeat. A distress beacon, old, weak, but still calling. He checked his kit one more time. Med scanner. Field splints. Universal patch gel. 2 power cells. Emergency blanket. Water. He whispered each item in his head as he touched it. This small ritual calmed him. He was a medic first, a pilot second, a guest in the wider galaxy at all times. His uniform was plain, soft white fabric with a silver earth patch on his shoulder. It was not a warrior's outfit. It was meant to say, "We came to help." The shuttle slipped into the thin air and shook as it cut through turbulence. Evan watched the altimeter drop. 6,000, 4,000, 2. He took a deep breath and adjusted the thrusters. Clouds parted. The ridge appeared, black stone like broken teeth, lines of glass that glittered in tall spires of crystal half buried in ash. He saw scars on the ground like old lightning paths. Here and there, the land still smoked as if it had only just cooled. The distress beacon grew louder. It had a soft tone, almost musical. Not human. The frequency danced at the edge of his hearing and made the hair on his arms rise. He slowed the shuttle, circled twice, and found a flat place near a field of shattered crystal. He touched down, powered the systems to idle, and listened. The ship creaked. Somewhere outside, a breeze sang through crystal shards and made a thin chime. He clipped his med pack to his chest and walked down the ramp. Warm air met his face. It smelled like metal and rain after a storm, even though he could not see any rain. He paused at the bottom and looked around. The light was red, gentle, flat, and it painted the stones with soft color. The land felt empty, but not dead. It felt like a place holding its breath. He followed the beacon. The tone pulled his steps like a thread. He moved slow and careful. He did not want to step on a hidden wire or a live panel. Old battles sometimes left surprises that were not kind. He tapped the med scanner and held it forward. The screen showed faint traces, broken crystal energy, decayed plasma, and a single living signature right at the edge of range, weak as a shadow. "Hello," he said into his translator. His voice sounded small. "I am Evan Cole of Earth Peace Corps. I received your distress call. I am here to help." The words went out and came back as an echo. He kept walking. The ridge rose to his right like a wall. The ground sloped into a shallow bowl filled with glass splinters the size of leaves. He crossed it in careful steps, boots crunching. The beacon tone grew clearer. It was not a harsh alarm. It was a whisper of a song with a slow rhythm, like an old lullaby. It made his heart ache, and he did not know why. He reached the far side of the bowl and climbed a short ledge. At the top, he saw it, the remains of a throne or altar built of crystal plates. Many plates were cracked or missing, and the shape looked like a nest after a storm. In the center lay a figure curled on her side, her skin a pale blue that almost matched the broken stone. Her hair, a soft shade between silver and white, spread across the ground like melted light. Her hand rested on a shard. A faint glow pulsed in her chest like a fading star. Evan stopped. He felt the sudden weight of the moment press on him. He had never seen one of the Valan in person. He had read about them. He had studied their biology in a quiet classroom under steady lights. He knew they were gentle and private. He knew they wove light into actions the way humans used breath. But he had never stood over one, not like this. Not when life hung by a thread so thin it almost was not there. He moved forward on his knees to make himself small. He placed the med scanner on the ground beside her and looked with his eyes first. No heavy wounds. No obvious broken bones. Her clothes were a simple white robe with thin lines of silver around the edges. On her chest was a small symbol, a spiral with 3 points. He recognized it from a study pamphlet. Royal mark. His breath caught. Princess. The idea made his hands tremble. He reached for the scanner and slid it under her shoulder so it could read more clearly. The screen filled with lines and fields he barely understood. The translator tried to render the Valent measurements into human terms and failed. The result blinked. Energy coherence, critical low, biolight frequency, phased out of range, temperature, stable low, respiration, weak and irregular, heart rhythm, dim coupling. Hey, he said very softly, as if he were speaking to a child. My name is Evan. I am here. I will not hurt you. I want to help. Her eyes opened a little. They were clear and bright even in weakness, with pupils like small diamonds. She focused on him, but her gaze passed through him too, like she looked at a light behind him or a memory far away. Her lips parted. The sound that came out was light as breath. The translator on his wrist tried to catch it and turned the music into words. The light is gone, she said, voice faint and serious. It is going out, Evan nodded. Once, steady. I hear you. I see your light. We will not let it go out. He looked at his kit, looked at her, looked at the scanner again. He had no medicine for this. Human tools reached the edge of their map here. He had no Valan injector, no crystal matrix kit, no amplifier. He felt a small wave of fear rise and tried to breathe through it. He had learned to do that when he worked in crowded field clinics. When fear arose, he pictured a door in his mind. He opened the door. Fear walked in and sat. He said to it, I see you. You may stay, but you may not drive. Do you have a name? He asked. She drew a slow breath. Leora, she whispered. The name felt like a chord. He let it settle in his mind and tried to think. He could leave to call for help, but time was thin. He could try to move her, but that might bring harm. He could stay and do nothing, but that was not why he came. His eyes fell to his hand. It was a simple human hand, warm, strong, from years of lifting patients and carrying packs. He thought of his mother back on Earth, who had said to him once, sometimes the best medicine is touch. It tells a person they are not alone. He set the scanner aside. He took off one glove. The air felt warm and smooth on his skin. He held his hand above her shoulder for a second, waiting, asking himself if this was foolish. Then he placed his palm on her shoulder, light but sure, the way he would touch someone who was fragile and brave. At once, he felt a soft warmth move into his skin. It was not fire. It did not burn. It felt like stepping into sunlight after a long winter, like standing near the sea and feeling a wide peace. A golden glow leaked from under his palm, traveled through his fingers and drew fine lines along her veins. Her chest pulsed once, and the small star there grew brighter. The scanner beeped a new tone. He glanced at it. Energy coherence rising. Rhythm, new coupling detected. Leora's eyes opened wider. The faint diamond pupils widened like a camera lens. She looked straight at him now, and the look was full of life, as if she had just woken from a cold dream. Your touch, the translator said, finds the echo. You carry a field. Warm like morning. Why? Evan swallowed. I do not know. I am only human. I am happy you feel better. He kept his hand there and tried to match his breath to hers. In a few breaths, he noticed a pattern. When he breathed in, her glow rose. When he breathed out, her glow steadied. He spoke quietly to himself as he found the rhythm. In, rise, out, steady. In, rise, out, steady. The world narrowed to those two actions. He would have stayed like that for hours if the air around them had not shifted. A hum touched the edge of hearing. The hum was not the beacon. It was not the wind. It was a mechanical note, controlled and direct. Evan turned his head. Over the far ridge, a line of small shapes slid into view. He knew drones when he saw them. Metallic bodies with long wings like knives. They moved in a patient arc, the way a hawk circles a field. Their sensor eyes shone like small beads. Leora felt the change and tried to rise. Her hand came to his wrist. He felt the touch like a spark. Not sharp, but clear. "They follow the fall," she said through the translator. "They come when a soul grows weak. They harvest what is left. They do not make peace." Evan's stomach tightened. He had no heavy tools. No shield, no weapon. He looked down at his hand on her shoulder and the soft light that moved with his pulse. He did not know what he could do, but he knew what he would not do. He would not pull his hand away. He would not walk back to the shuttle and leave her. He would not say, "I am sorry. I cannot help." That did not fit in his mouth. He scanned the ground. The broken crystal plates formed natural walls and corners. There was a low pillar to the left, tilted and sturdy, a fallen slab to the right that could serve as cover. The throne's base was set in a shallow hollow, which was good if he needed a lower profile. He could tuck Leora behind the pillar and shield her as best he could with his body. He did not like that plan. But plans were not about liking. They were about trying. "Can you sit?" he asked. She nodded. The glow in her chest steadied with each breath they shared. He helped her sit and slide toward the tilted pillar. He kept his left hand on her shoulder and reached for his pack with his right. He took out. The sky over Epsilon Ridge had turned deep red, fading toward violet, where the clouds met the horizon. Evan Cole stood behind the broken crystal pillar, breathing slowly beside the alien princess. The hum of the drones still filled the air like a low storm that would not pass. He could feel the warmth of her energy still moving between them. A pulse that had begun as faint light but now glowed like a living rhythm. The connection that started with a simple touch had grown stronger, almost alive. Leora's hand trembled slightly as she lifted her eyes toward the sky. "The Draven are calling more machines," she whispered through the translator. "They sense life where there should be none." Evan followed her gaze. More shapes appeared, metallic, angular, each one moving with silent purpose. His human mind wanted to count them, to make sense of the danger. There were too many. But still, he did not move back. He looked at the princess beside him, fragile, glowing, yet calm. "We can't fight all of them," he said softly. "But maybe. We can hold them long enough for your people to find you." Her eyes glimmered like light caught in water. "You believe they will come?" "I have to," he said. "It's what keeps me standing." The first drone fired. A flash of green light hit the dome that surrounded them. It rippled like water struck by a stone. The sound was low and musical, not like metal breaking. Evan felt the vibration run through his arm into his chest, and then out again through his heartbeat. The dome held. Leora gasped. "It listens to you," she said. "It bends to your will." He shook his head. "No, it listens to us." Another blast hit, then another. The dome brightened. Each pulse of energy from outside was answered by a gentle glow from within. Evan's body felt light, almost weightless. His vision shimmered for a second, and then he saw something impossible. Lines of golden energy stretching out from his body, weaving through the dome like threads. He realized the dome wasn't just light. It was alive. It was responding to their shared intent. His courage fed its strength. Her calm guided its shape. Leora turned to him, voice soft but sure. "Human heart and Valan light, I have never seen such harmony." He gave a short smile. "Guess we make a good team." The drones adjusted formation. One of them, larger than the rest, lowered itself near the ground. It was a commander unit, its frame covered in glowing symbols. A voice, metallic and cold, echoed through the valley. Unauthorized resonance detected. "Terminate the anomaly." The smaller drones began to charge their weapons again. Evan knew the dome would not hold forever. The last of his power cells in the shuttle could maybe run a quick pulse burst, but to reach them, he'd have to cross open ground. He looked at the princess. "If I run to the shuttle, I can draw them off. You stay hidden here." Her head turned sharply. "You will not leave," she said, her tone firm now. "The light is bound. If you break it, it dies." He stopped. She was right. The connection between them wasn't just physical, it was life itself. If he stepped away, her energy would fall again. Evan took a slow breath. Then we hold together. She nodded once, a soft glow spreading from her hands to his. Together? She echoed. The air thickened as the first wave of plasma fire came down. Each strike bent the dome inward, sending sparks of light flying across its surface. Evan gritted his teeth. His arm ached from holding the link, but he didn't pull away. Leora's hand tightened over his, and the glow flared brighter. Time lost meaning. The blasts came faster. Louder, yet each one met their light and broke apart like rain on glass. When the noise stopped, there was silence. Smoke hung in the air. The drones hovered uncertainly, scanning for weakness. Inside the dome, Evan and Leora were still standing. Their joined hands glowed bright gold. The large commander drone tilted its head. Its metallic voice spoke again. Unknown power source. Biological origin. Adaptation required. Then something changed in the air, a vibration that neither of them caused. The red sky flickered blue for an instant. Far above, a thin arc of light grew brighter. Evan shielded his eyes. Leora looked up, and tears formed at the edge of her silver lashes. They heard, she said. My people heard the signal. From beyond the clouds came a fleet of Valan's ships, smooth, elegant, glowing like shards of living crystal. Their arrival filled the air with a calm hum that felt like a song. The drones turned upward, their formation breaking. Evan exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. Relief hit him like a wave, but it was short-lived. The commander drone did not retreat. Instead, it pointed its wings toward him. Target human, it said. Source of resonance. Capture for study. Before Evan could react, a lance of dark energy shot from the drone. It pierced the dome and struck him square in the chest. He fell backward with a gasp, the connection breaking for an instant. Leora cried out. Her light flickered wildly. Without his energy, her strength began to fade again. She crawled toward him, her hands trembling. Evan! He opened his eyes. The world around him blurred. Pain ran through his chest like fire, but still he forced himself to speak. Stay with me. She pressed her palm to his heart. Her voice shook as she whispered a word in her own language, a word that sounded like Rialan. The translator offered no meaning, but Evan felt its truth. It meant life shared. The light surged again, brighter than ever before. The dome expanded outward in a wave of blue and gold. The blast hit the drone commander full on, tearing its metal frame apart. The other drones scattered and fell silent. When the light faded, Leora collapsed against him, breathing hard. Her glow had dimmed again, but her pulse was steady. Evan's chest ached, but he was alive. He could feel her heartbeat against his arm, matching his own once more. Overhead, the Valan ships descended. Beams of soft light reached down like strands of silk. He could see figures within the light, tall, graceful beings, their bodies glowing with calm power. One of them knelt beside Leora and touched her forehead gently. Princess, the being said, voice smooth like a melody. Your call reached us at last. Leora smiled weakly. Not by my strength, she whispered. By his. She looked toward Evan. The alien healer followed her gaze, studying him. A human? He shared his life, Leora said. He became the bridge. Evan tried to sit up, but the healer pressed a hand to his shoulder. Rest, the alien said. You have done enough for a lifetime. He gave a tired smile. That's what I keep telling myself. As the Valan healer surrounded them, the commander of the fleet landed beside the ruins. His armor was smooth crystal, his eyes bright as starlight. He looked between Evan and the princess, then spoke in deep, clear tones. The resonance you created is not known among our kind. It is harmony between species, a gift beyond science. Leora reached out and took Evan's hand again. He did not seek power, she said softly. He only sought to help, the commander nodded. Then humanity has given us something we lost long ago. Turned to his aides. Record this moment. Let the stars remember. The healers lifted both Evan and Leora into a beam of light. The ground below fell away as they rose toward the nearest ship. Inside, The air was warm and smelled faintly of clean rain. Evan sat on a smooth bed while the healers scanned him with rings of light. "You are remarkably stable," one said. "The energy inside you is unlike ours, but it carries peace, not chaos." He chuckled softly. "That's good, because chaos is kind of my usual mood." Leora, lying nearby, laughed quietly. "Humor," she said. "Another human medicine." They smiled at each other. For a moment, the galaxy felt small and kind. Hours later, Evan stood beside a wide viewing window. Below him, the red planet turned slowly under the stars. Beside him, Leora walked carefully, her glow now bright and calm. "My people will rebuild," she said, "but they will not forget this day." He turned to her. "I'm just glad you're alive." She studied him for a long moment, her eyes soft. "You are more than that, Evan. You are proof that two hearts, even from different stars, can beat as one." He smiled shyly, unsure what to say. "You know, we have a saying back home. Light shared is light multiplied. Maybe that's what happened here." She reached up, her hand resting over the mark on his chest where the energy had struck. A faint golden glow appeared beneath her fingers, the same glow that had saved them both. "Our light lives in you now," she said. "You will carry it wherever you go." When the ship returned to orbit above Epsilon Ridge, the fleet signaled Earth Command. For the first time, humans and Valen would speak as equals, not as strangers. The message that went across the stars was simple. A human hand healed a dying light. Back on the viewing deck, Leora looked at him once more. "When the council meets again," she said softly, "you will be there beside me, as a friend, and as the first of your kind to hold the living light." Evan gazed out at the stars, thousands of them, shining quietly like waiting candles. He thought of Earth, of home, of small moments of kindness that had led him to this place. "Guess I'll have to buy a new uniform," he said with a grin. She smiled back. "Keep the old one. It carries history." As the ship moved into the starlit expanse, the connection between them still glowed faintly, a pulse of light that reached across two hearts, two worlds, two kinds of life, and somewhere deep in the endless sky, where the stars watched in silence. The bond they had made became more than a miracle. It became a promise that even in the vast cold of space, compassion could still burn bright enough to bring light back to a dying world.